Welcome back, folks and friends. Connecting Dots here. Today's date is Thursday, November 6, 2014. Before I jump into today's video, I would like to address something I should have stressed a little bit more in Fukushima Day 1335, yesterday's video. Well, I was all about a portion of that video was regarding the emergency preparedness plans of Japan, Switzerland, and Canada. So in case you didn't see it, Japan, something I should have stressed is the fact that they want to have an evacuation plan. That's right. In case of a nuclear meltdown, not just passing out pills, they want to have an evacuation plan. And I also talked about how they're actually trying to stop the restarting of the first of these 48 nuclear reactors that have been turned off since 2011. So they're trying to put an end to that, even though the local community has recently voted in favor of starting them up. So in Switzerland, they broadened the spectrum from 20 kilometers to 50 kilometers, and I talked about how Canada had broadened it, from 50 kilometers to 80 kilometers if you live anywhere near a reactor, but you don't get the pills like Switzerland. Switzerland, they'll send you the 12 pills. You get to hold them for 10 years until they expire. But Canada, the pills are going to be held in certain locations, and my concern was, which I should have said, was the fact that nuclear, plants near Toronto and Oshawa, these large cities, folks, you have no idea. Like, just traffic hour coming out of Toronto, it's chaos. I would hate to see Toronto, Oshawa during a nuclear meltdown. Holy jump, and you folks have no idea the congestion that would take place. So for people to go rush out to some certain location where there's these iodine pills that are going to save their children and save them possibly, depending on their age, forget about it. It just ain't going to work. So one of the things I talked about was also how the jet stream, the wind blows these radioactive isotopes around. I've shared with you the information how independent lab in Seattle during 2011 for 2 months, their data showed that people living in Seattle were breathing in 5 of these fuel fleas for a 60-day period, while people in Tokyo were breathing in 10. So yes, radiation travels, the wind moves it around, and a 50 to 80 to 100 kilometer zone, safety zone, whatever you want to call it, preparedness plan is not sufficient. And I talked about calling the Regulatory Commission here in Canada. Hang tight, I'll be on that some more. I'll have some more information. They're not returning my calls. I will continue pressing on, guaranteed. Okay, here's the first story here I'm going to share with you, and this one's a bizarre one. Honestly, he's not charged for selling drugs. No, he's arrested for selling radioactive substances. And wait till you see what the substance is. I mean, honestly, should this guy even be charged? And the reason why, here's the irony of this whole thing. I'm not sure if you've done your own research on Fukushima, if you've gone to see some of the locals, the readings they've taken along their Japanese communities. I mean, I saw one video right in a Japanese schoolyard where they're picking high levels of radiation up from fallout from Fukushima. So there's radiation that's been splattered, many, many locations all across Japan here. I've seen pictures of right along the roadside in the ditch where the levels were extremely high, but you got back on the road and the sidewalk, they'd done a little bit of cleanup there. So there's no doubt there's radiation all over Japan. We have a triple ongoing meltdown. There's no doubt about it. I've talked about how TEPCO themselves had admitted that there was roughly 70 million becquerels spewing out every single day in the atmosphere, and we know about the 400 to 800 tons of highly radioactive water spewing into the ocean, but we're talking atmospheric release here. So again, depending where you live, when the wind hits you, yes, there's no doubt about it. And this guy here to be charged in Japan for what? Yeah, honestly. So this 54-year-old man here is admitted to selling samples of americium-241 to 8 people. And he goes on to say that some of those who bought the substances use it to test radiation detection instruments. Oddly enough, guess what, folks? When I bought my Ludlum 3A before I went on a cross-Canada radiation tour in 2011, well, the Ludlum 3A came across the border from the United States, because that's where I bought a gentleman in California. And that... the Geiger counter came with a radioactive sample. I've got radioactive rock here. I believe he told me it came from Arizona during the testing. So I've got some radioactive samples. I mean, I hope I don't get arrested. Now, if you read a little further on here, this gentleman here, the reason why he did this, it's in anticipation of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and he saw a money-making opportunity, and that's why he bought these 15 pieces of radioactive isotopes that were sandwiched between radiation-absorbing metal plates for $10 each. They're not even expensive. Anyone can get this, okay? He bought it online. And if you read a little further here, is this the Americium-241? Yeah, its most common use is in household and industrial smoke detectors. So basically, you all have some of this kicking around at home, and I guess we bought a certain amount of it and took it out of the, out of the package, out of the smoke detector package. I guess somehow you might be arrested in Japan. Yeah, that's according to their laws. I can't believe it. So yeah, they've got fallout all over the place, and they're going to worry about some guy, buying a little bit of Americium-241. Joke. Okay, here's a big one, folks. Honestly, and this all depends on what camp you sit on here, because I'm one of the rare few who have been telling you that no, the spent fuel pool in Reactor 4 is still there. The fuel rod assemblies are still there. I've based that on a multitude of pictures that I'm willing to share when I make my videos on Reactor 4, yet I see other people that talk about this and they don't give you the full spectrum of pictures. Why is that? Well, because they want to continue on the ridiculous route. So I don't care what the NRC had in its original writings, reports from TEPCO, okay, when this first went down, because that's the other thing I hear. The fact is, we have pictures. We even have an heat source imaging picture that showed that the reactors of spent fuel rod assemblies were still sitting in the pools. The pools were still there. Yes, the 4th and 5th floor blew off the walls, but the pools started from that level downwards. And if you saw the pictures, it's more than evident that the pools were still there. I don't know what to say. Again, it depends what camp you want to listen to. If you folks want to believe that these 400 tons, metric tons of spent fuel rods suddenly vanished up into the air and are all melted away and there's nothing left in that pool and it was just a waste of our time, I don't know what you plan on gaining out of that personally, especially when I can debunk you every single time. Anyone who's willing to debate me on this, step up to the plate here. I'll leave you a link at the end of this video for my Connecting Dots one. Bring it on. I'm going to show you picture after picture after picture after picture after picture. No, they haven't been modified. They show you that the fuel pool was still there. But I'm willing to listen to somebody else's idea here or your theories on this. But moving along here, what's important is this was one of the biggest milestones in this entire cleanup process, was getting this spent fuel rods out of the fuel pool at Reactor 4, because the building had been cracked, shaken up with this massive earthquake and hit with the tsunami. And we've all been told here that if this one went over, it could be an extinction level event. Regardless, they've taken out most of the pools. They're saying there's only, most of the rods here, and there's only about 180 of these unused fuel rod assemblies, and the reason why they're far less riskier than the other ones is because they're not spent. Once the fuel rod assemblies are spent, they become a lot more radioactive, I think roughly 20 times more radioactive. Okay, next one. I talked about how at Fukushima reactor number 1, last week I was talking about how they'd punctured holes here. Although the media was reporting in Japan that they drilled the holes, I believe that they were saying this simply to lead people to think that the shielding that they'd put over this building was somehow of a concrete nature, or at least a very solid nature. And here you're seeing it for yourself here. The sun is shining right through. You can see the metallic frame or aluminum frame, whatever that's built out of. You can see it right through here. There was no drilling. You can see the holes here where they pierced in. If you saw my video, I was talking about them spraying in a type of resin here so that any radioactive dust particles or whatnot would be stuck to the ground, and so when they lift off the roof, it would not be hit with massive levels of wind blowing in and blowing off the radiation all over the place. So that's an ongoing process that they'd started back up here, because they had originally stopped with taking this roof assembly off, and now they started back up. The stories from October 31st, or I never got around to reporting it, but I'm letting you now they're back on track. And yes, this picture clearly shows that those holes weren't drilled, they were just punctured right through the roof. Now, another story I was talking about how Taiwan was starting to step up its radioactivity checking. I was showing how they were going to start checking sweets and green teas that were coming in from Japan. Well, it turns out now they're going after the cargo ships. So it turns out there is even, they were, not everyone was on board, basically, but the legislator here, Lu Xinwen, she went on to say here that the statistics show that there was 241 of these containers that had been returned to Japan from the Fukushima over the past 3 years because they were found to have high levels of cesium radiation. So yes, it's going through, even though they were trying to stop it. I guess what can I say, folks? There's always the nuclear industry. They're very strong. They're right into our government, different sectors. So it turns out they're going to continue on with this, although they're limiting the scope here of the inspection. Turns out they will check it, and it even includes waste plastic products, waste paper, waste metals, and they'll all be checked one by one according to custom officials. So let's see here if this number goes up higher now that they're going to actually step up the monitoring. Okay, I'm going to finish up with my connectingdots1.com, and the reason why is because many of you have mentioned here that as I upload the videos, you don't always get the upload notifications. For example, have you received these notifications within the last 24 hours? I'm not sure, but one way you can stay updated is to come follow me here at connectingdots1.com. So most of the videos, I'll post a thread on them individually, but you may have noticed here I have a Connecting Dots 2 and just below Silver Gold Man, my other YouTube channel that I've just recently started. And the reason why I'm going to start doing this is because it's true, you are being censored. This is a brand spanking new YouTube channel. It only has roughly 305 subscribers, and the videos I put out on that YouTube channel outweigh in viewership the ones I upload on this YouTube channel. Connecting Dots 2 and Connecting Dots 3 both have well over 6,500 subscribers on each YouTube channel, yet I have a hard time getting 444 views in a day. Yeah, meanwhile I have a brand spanking new YouTube Silver Goldman YouTube channel, and I'm already getting higher views on those videos. Absolutely ridiculous. So there's no doubt about it, I am being censored, and if you want to follow me a little closer, you'll see it here at connectingdots1.com. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the information. Take care, folks.